Yep, that Union
Yeah, it did in the,
schoolhouse.
yeah, it did in the old train station. But we were able to bring planners in from around the state, actually, from the Blaustein School, professors at the Blaustein School. These are noted people. And there's some planners that go around, and just for sport, they go around, they carry their little thing with their marking pens, and they kind of do this, and they have fun drawing these things up. And all these sketches that you see in the plan, those people did that. They just did that on volunteer time because they had so much interest. They had so much interest in Phillipsburg. So that plan got modified a little bit more with some more detail for the riverfront, because these are all, you'd be a great realtor and marketer. I got an idea what can go here, what can go here, but nobody's going to invest in that town unless they see the walking wallets on the street. Like, what are you going to do to bring people in here? So we have a tremendous asset with that riverfront. Towns are starting to discover that now. I mean, riverfronts used to be a place to dump for sewage. It used to be industrial fronts, and that's how this town kind of grew up. But it isn't now. It's a recreational asset that we're unique on the Delaware River to have that riverfront right now. So that's where these revisions concentrated on what to do. But they're not really revisions, okay? The 2013 plan exists, and Councilwoman DiGirolamo picked that up at the planning board meeting. Like, nothing as far as districts or anything changed. We took sub-district 2 and broke it down. We took district 2 and broke it down into some sub-districts. From the design charrette, we showed a developer what he could do with respect to what the flooding was there. We had an elevated area with a walkway that actually ties into what this building is and carries that around. So that's there. So I actually put a little list together what the differences are between the 2013 plan and what this is. If you just bear with me for a few minutes while I'm on a roll here. It really concentrates the sub-district 2. The intros changed to reflect the work that the charrette did in more detail. Figure 3 is new because we changed the sub-districts based on the charrette. All the design tables are the same tables that show what the density is, what the permitted uses are. That will change. It's the same as it was in 2013. It's the same as it was in 2005. You could put a hotel down there, put a 5-story hotel down there. Yeah. That hasn't changed. But how do I build a 5-story hotel in a flooded area? Well, I give you a cross-section now to show you how you're going to do that. Goals and objectives were changed somewhat in the 2017. Expanded some language to reflect what the new sub-districts are. We showed the cross-sections. Bulk standards are the same. Design guidelines, we added some more language into it, but design guidelines are in there, but they're also going to tie into what the Historic Commission's going to do. Mayor, I don't know how far the Historic Commission is now, but they're starting to put some design guidelines together that we're going to need. And what that does, it doesn't mandate what you do with your building. You keep your building, you do what use it is, but it's going to say something about what the storefront's supposed to look like. You haven't heard my story, but I'll tell you this. Back in the mid-2005 to 2010, I was in one of these myself. This one. In fact, that's a monogram of my old company. It's like a ghost ship to me. I hate looking at that even. But I was in there. And, yeah. No, it's still there. So, we looked to see what would happen. And actually, I did that because when we were closing another office, I wanted to stay in Phillipsburg. I actually asked Mayor Wyant where we should be, and he wanted me to be down there just to spark some interest in the downtown. So, but anyway, I was working here one night late. I looked out and there's like flashing pink light. I didn't know what it was, so I went out to get in my car. And there was a neon sign in the store above this that said, "Bad debt, we can help. Bad debt, we can help." And I went back to the guy and said, "You can't do that. It's got to come down." He said, "Well, the UEC gave me the money to put it there." So there was always this disconnect as to what could happen down there. So we put the guidelines in. So the bottom line, we came in with this revised plan in 2016. We've been talking about it since. But it sure did spark the interest. I haven't heard this much talk about redevelopment plan, and you're fantastic what you're trying to do. But I think you still have to do what you can do to get the major developer down there to do something. And the developer's going to be attracted to a town when, A, you've got a unified governing body that can agree. I don't get opinions, I can't do that. But we got to get that together as to what we want to do and go forward. I don't think anybody's disagreeing what has to be done there. A developer, and this is where a conversation I had with the council president, a developer wants to know what he's up against too. And there are some challenges down there as far as infrastructure is concerned. Just off the top of my head, I can tell you there's the Riverside Drive pump station. That's needs an investment right now because that's in very poor shape. You can't even open the door. But that has to be redone. I think we're going to put some minor repairs, but the developer's going to have to readdress that, so we should give some thought as to where that's going to go. There's going to be some traffic challenges down there. There may be some improvements that are required. This is all on a developer, so we could still go through and do a light, for lack of a better word, a community impact analysis and see what will be done. And that's just another tool that attracts the developer. So the developer comes in, hey, I've got a town that really wants me to come in and do something. I've got an idea as to what you may want, and I've got an idea ahead of me of what the other challenges is going to be. So that's where that discussion came from. So I don't really see any reason, I'm not giving an opinion, okay? But I don't see any reason why this should not go forward. Get it done. If this is done, then I can actually close out what our task was with Highlands. They go back to Highlands, they may get some funding to do that community impact study, which I think they would support. Then we move forward. And everything that you want to do is a permitted use down there, but you still, yeah.
Wouldn't it cost less for a developer to come and redevelop one of these already standing historical, architecturally magnificent buildings than try to recreate what's already there?
No, he absolutely can. He can absolutely do that, but why does he want to invest the money when all his neighbors have nobody coming to him? Where's the foot traffic going to come from? So you need something to spark this. And I'll tell you right now, I'm living through this for some other towns too. I went through a redevelopment, Jamie was involved in this too. We went through a redevelopment study for another town. We did the area need a redevelopment study. We did the redevelopment plan. The developer came along, we refined the redevelopment plan. That redevelopment plan actually had condemnation. This thing doesn't mention condemnation, I'm not even going there. That one didn't have to use it, the market prevailed. We had no action in that town for years. Now, this guy's got a shovel on the ground. I've got 3 other developers knocking at the door that want to come in and start working. So they look for that first guy to get into the ground. So, we did this plan with the idea of sparking some interest. I think we have some tremendous interest in it. We have to keep the community input going. What you did is absolutely fantastic. I was thrilled when I saw that. Yes, I do watch the videos, and I saw what your
We're sorry.
I saw what your presentation was, and I had to come my wife. I said, look what they're doing here. They're actually talking about this stuff. So
The train does bring in over 100,000 people.
And we don't focus them on anything, and the mayor's actually been looking at that too, because the train guys are the ones selling the hamburgers and things. So. But he's only a short time out of the year. Somebody's got to, if they're selling hot dogs, they got to sell hot dogs all year long. So they need the people to come into the town. You even said yourself the demographics here don't work. People aren't going to go down and shop there. So where do you draw them from to go and shop? We're the Lambertville against New Hope. It's like comparing us to Easton. It's the same idea. But I mean everything's there. Express Time said a while ago, we have the tools there. We've got that opportunity zone ready to go. We've got, and now we have the plan in place. So,
just to correct me if I'm wrong, though, with the opportunity zone, with our still standing plan, we already have a riverfront redevelopment plan. The investors should they have wanted to come in for the opportunity zone, they could have already been here.
Absolutely. No, that was my point. We've had the plan since 2005.
Right, because we've
But-
been
but
hearing,
you've
oh, we're
got
running
it.
out of time, we're running out of time. We're not really running out
No,
of time. It's
no,
already been
no,
here.
no, you're not running out of time at all, but you're not gonna, you still wanna, you're doing this, looking for a developer, so you gotta have the right bait to bring him in. So he has to be really
So,
attractive, so Phillipsburg's gonna pop and be ready to go, and he's gonna get that support from the town.
you feel that by passing this plan is the right bait, even though it reads the same as the last plan?
It's got more design concepts in there. Either going to see a town that really wants to do something and move ahead. It's not that spiral ground BS that I referred to that just goes up on the shelf that nobody talks to. I think this one's more alive and it's showing what can be done down there. I don't disagree. I think your suggestion before about doing that, giving them more information as to what the challenges are ahead of them is there. I think that may be supplemental to what this is, but Highlands would want to see us to close this out, and we could get some other funding that way. I'll tell you what, I told you before too, I'm having difficulty finding a traffic engineer, because every good traffic engineer in the state's engaged with bridge construction right now, one place or another in New Jersey. Almost like a conflict, they did, one guy's, he's between projects right now.
Could I interrupt you one more time?
Sure.
And then I promise I'll stop harassing you.
No, you're not.
Just tonight.
No, we're a team.
Do you want a developer to come in and build a building?
I want a developer to come in and look at all of Phillipsburg, to look at exactly what you're talking about too, and look at what the big picture is. And that's part of it. He's going to see those storefronts. I
But
mean,
in your
a smart.
development plan, an indoor recreational facility.
that-
Indoor recreation, no, I'm saying I'm sorry, I just totally interrupted you, extremely rude. Where our rec programs can practice, something that our rec programs can use, something that our high school's not going to dominate, but can use, something that the community can use,
That
that's
might
going
be,
to generate
but that might be
revenue.
something, that might be something for another area. Washington Borough's looking at that right now. We just changed the redevelopment plan there to look at that exact kind of use, because they figure that's going to come in and that's going to generate some foot traffic on the street. This is a living document, so we can add to this at any time that we want to. But we have to start. I think we should finish where we are with 2 years talking about this.
I don't have anything else to say.
No, we'll talk.
Mr. Rubin, thank you very much
You're welcome.
for coming
But thank you,
forward.
it was an education experience. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay.
I'll distribute this list of what the comparative changes are for you.
Yeah, I have to.
Okay.
So, next is public comment on agenda items. Stan, you hang out?
Get back to the team. Okay, she'll distribute it everywhere.
Rich.
Sorry.
They said, I'm not going anywhere.
Name and address for the record.
I'm Joe Minor, I live at 392, yes, I live at 392 South Main Street in Phillipsburg. And it's not that I'm here. I want this, and I don't want this. Real, little detail. I'm with you now. I'm gonna read this without interruption. It says, as I see it, an overview. Most all agree to have no eminent domain. Most all agree that Union Square congestion can be relieved through an additional railroad crossing and no parking garage or residential housing at Union Square. That is in contrast to this. Most all agree that the plan should be to repair our features rather than replace them. Details available when requested. The feature should be a beautiful old railroad town of the 1950s rather than a recreational waterfront. The argument is that in Phillipsburg over the last 30 years, it rains on 2/3 of the summer days and the humidity is uncomfortable. As a result, the flora and fauna are beautiful, but if you want good weather, go to the river up the Poconos, to the Poconos. To verify, do what I did some years ago. Check out the success of the bed and breakfast places going downriver on the Jersey side. For the developer's profit, this kind of stuff for the developer's profit, 20 new R1+1 units, easily sold through Modern Maturity magazine on the railroad right-of-way near Cherry Alley, yielding $80,000 tax income and $1 million developer profit. In addition, an assisted living and nursing home between Fisher Street and Delaware River Park, yielding minimally $120,000 tax income and $2 million developer profit. The potential for profit is much more than the minimum. Details available when requested. The Jitney service will connect all the town features. It will be connected to out-of-town parking from the rail connection further south on the river. I believe it's Regalsville down there. To the walkway and miniature railroad driveway over the Delaware River on the deserted railroad trestle, which is definitely part of this one. And to the Delaware River parking lot. Details available when requested. To fill our stores, we need low-priced ethnic restaurants, plus the stuff she was talking about, like the jewelry for the, both for our tourists and for our added senior residents. I ate at most of them, the ones that failed. Although the food was excellent, the failure was due predominantly to bad service and too much help. Here is a little bragging. I solved this problem 40 years ago and would and could show them how for free. Details available on request, when requested. Specific uses at specific locations and cheap education for the poor. See Nicole Timberland's proposal and my proposal presented to the previous council. Details available when requested. Now to money. Developer, we need money. Passing the debt forward will not do. Bob Merlot explained how the bubble bursts. We need a 5% municipal increase. That's $50 per quarter for a median resident. We need a sewer increase of 10%, probably less, but $10 per quarter for median resident. We need rent control to stop the landlords from passing the increase to tenants. We already have a senior tax freeze. Conservatively, this will generate at least $6 million safe dollars. The sale of the demolded Corliss property will yield $3 million, yielding $9 million safe dollars total. Now to the spending. $2 million to clean mold, $3 million to move to the armory, $2 million to reinforce banks over North Main and Hudson Street, and $2 million to rebuild old sewer lines. All numbers are my best guess, but I'm a good guesser.
That's your 5 minutes, sir.
Can I give me the other?
Unfortunately, I can't give you.
Please.
You gotta keep it strict
It's a
quorum.
parent.
Sir, we have a long agenda this evening, and I wanna be able to go home. If you wanna be on the
I
agenda at the next...
have a 1
5 minutes is
minute-
over, Mr. Meyer. I appreciate your time, but your 5 minutes is up. Thank you.
1 minute
I appreciate
more.
your time, but your 5 minutes is up, Mr. Minor.
It's worth the exception.
Mr. Minor,
What the fuck is with this guy?
thank you.
You are invited, and you are invited,
Mr. Minor,
and he is
Mr. Minor.
invited to my.
Mr. Minor, one more outburst and I'm gonna have you removed. Yes, ma'am.
Sandra Morissette, 5 Fairview Heights. In section 2 of the last page of 2018-23, there has been a change in section 3.9 relating to the addition of storage and waste containers and the storage of waste disposal trucks. Yet section 3.9 had been recently amended under ordinance 2018-10A to show the addition of the words empty. And that's actually reflected on page 47 of the redevelopment plan we just received. So I'm a tad confused. I was told last week by Mr. Fulper that the words empty describing the waste containers and truck were present in 2018-10A.
Ma'am, you were told that by Mr. Wenner.
And you too.
No, ma'am. I have the video. You were told by Mr. Wenner.
Mr. Wenner, that's fine. However, I am interested in understanding then if that's going to be the case, for the record, is 2018-23 superseding 2018-10A? Because it goes on to say in 2018-23A, in the second page, second whereas from the bottom, that it's talking about the storage of waste containers and the storage of waste disposal trucks as permitted in District 6. LMR disposal is in District 6, so I'm really curious, and I'm assuming that this is perhaps directed on their behalf. Maybe not.
Well, Mr. Moore said you bring up a very good issue. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use that as a reason why we can't pass that tonight. Thank you very much.
So, is that being tabled or not?
We're going to have to table that because you're absolutely correct. In the,
Just give it to us late.
well, it wasn't that it was, our lawyers have been working overtime, right?
Oh, I
We
understand.
did a lot.
Yeah,
But you're
yeah.
absolutely correct. It does state that, and therefore I will motion to table.
Okay, because there
Okay.
seemed some confusion.
We'll make sure that it's taken care of by
It
this
was the
meeting.
plan by all
Thank
of us,
you.
actually.
What's that?
We noticed it when we got the agenda, and we didn't get that revised, amended
August?
until 5 o'clock today.
Oh, you poor things, and I know
So
what it's like. to
that
get stuff at the last minute.
that change was made without planning board approval, so we have to question it now.
Thank
We
you very
will
much
table
for
that.
your
You're very
time.
welcome. Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, just for clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you tabling it, that we should wait and have the discussion on the,
Well, Ms. Morissette brought to light a very, and she's absolutely correct. So we, a month and a half ago, had said that LMR would be able to operate as long as they had empty storage disposal containers.
Right.
This paragraph does not reflect that. It actually reflects the opposite. Therefore, we're going to have to table this evening. To pass it the way it is would be to go back on our word.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I just didn't know whether I should make any comments now or you
Oh, no,
want to wait.
please.
Oh, okay.
Please, your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Audra Frank, sorry. My name is Audra Frank, and I am from Stewartsville, New Jersey, 276 Bald Eagle Drive. I am the president, the reason I'm here, I'm so excited about Phillipsburg. Just want to give you a little history real fast. I come from a little town called Frederick, Maryland. I couldn't wait to get out of there in 1969. We even had the state-of-the-art high school. What happened is that the council and the mayor came together later on in, I think, 1980, because we saw the entire scene happening. But if you want to go on a vacation, go to Frederick, Maryland. They got it right. What they did is that they made the developers do things for the town. And I love her idea, so I'm not up here. I will tell you, I'm also on the Landmarks Commission, so I'm a historic restoration specialist. I did the restoration of the landmark, the sanctuary at St. Philip St. James. So I do understand by keeping old buildings and doing things. And Starbucks will come in once they start seeing things going on. Trust me, I did 50 of them in New York. So my point is that you have to do both, but make the developer promise or sign what they have to do to make sure the town doesn't lose what the people here are talking about losing, and at the same time make it so it's vibrant. My club is dying. We're getting more, my goal is to get young people in, and that's what's also going to help save Phillipsburg. So I thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Ms. Frank, thank you very much. there anyone else?
Dan Boyce, 244 Irwin. It's getting real old coming up here every week and defending the town time and time again over everything. The biggest thing holding back any development is the infighting here amongst everybody. LMR was brought up again today, and he was brought up, I had to set someone straight on Facebook this week because he wanted to bring up the lies of how he disregarded 176 signatures on petitions. But he failed to tell people is that when they searched out these signatures, they told people that LMR was bringing a dump yard in, that they were basically going to be dumping garbage there, and with the river right there, they were going to release the Kraken on Phillipsburg. Okay? And that's why everybody signed. I have been told this by people who have signed it. They're upset that they signed it because they were lied to. And that's the biggest thing I find is nothing but lies. You got somebody in you who writes and writes and writes, and every time he writes, it ends up as a lie. At least when I say something and it's a little far-fetched, I make it known that it's a little far-fetched. I don't try to blatantly try to slide something under somebody's thing. The inner fighting has really hurt everything. This town has let businesses go that they should have kept. Italy's to make room for the bank. Nobody tried to help them find a spot. They could have taken them right down on South Main Street where Sugar was a successful business, an Italian restaurant. They could have put them in there. They could have taken them right over here to 7-Eleven before the car wash bought it. Could have went right in there. Still a tax-paying business in town. The Exxon station. I was originally told when they left, they were going to go to Lopez. Why didn't they take them down to Tony Pips before that other business opened up?
Excuse me, Mr. Boyce. Mr. Meyer, can you please keep your voice down, please? We can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I will.
The Exxon station, why wasn't it taken over to Tony Pitt's old building? Right at the foot, right at the beginning of all the redevelopment, a gas station, a convenience store, right there. They would have stopped in there, all the workers for coffee. It would have been a great thing. Popeyes bought Burger King out in Pohatcong. They're going to take over the Burger King at the end of the year. Why did they take, I mentioned it before, why didn't they go down there and go after the old Ferris's building? You would have started your redevelopment right there. Why aren't people in the town pursuing businesses? Dollar General, go into where Lorenzo's used appliances used to be. Perfect place. Dollar General, there's a store on South Main Street. Like I said, I agree with the mayor. It's time now to put town hall downtown. I like this idea of the parking garage, right? And I even said, you're going to get people complaining because the people in this town, excuse my language, they just like to bitch, okay? That's all they like to do. But if you put it back there at that parking lot, it's already a parking lot. It's not an eyesore because there's nobody parked behind it. It's a train tracks. It's a perfect thing. It's a win-win for everybody. And you're starting there. Every other development, you look Easton. Easton didn't start at the Free Bridge when he redeveloped. Larry Holmes took a couple partials and he built, but that was it. Everything around the Free Bridge was the last thing to be built. They started at Center Square. And they branched out. It's a hub. It's like a sun and then rays going out in all different directions. Why doesn't the town do the same thing? Start at Chappelle Park. You can go in all different directions. Instead of forcing it, you're being downtown saying, make this mule drag everything uphill. It's just, you're going to break that mule's back. You know, Mr. Schreck came up here and he gave all this information. Everybody did these studies. Let's remember something. Ford did a study and they came up with a pinot that used to explode. Coke did a study, they changed the product and almost went bankrupt. Okay? Maybe the studies aren't always right. Remember that. That's all I had to say. It's time to look at it, but look at it from a different... I'm not against it whatsoever. Absolutely not. I'm 100% for it. Just not where they want to start. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Is there anyone else?
Excuse me. Emil Brisson, 94 Bolton Street in Phillipsburg. Just want to say in terms of the redevelopment plan, I think we all should hope that we could have the enthusiasm that Mrs. Timmerman has about it. I think that that's a great thing to have for the town. I do think that we need to keep in mind some of the things that Stan talked about, and the fact that there were, and Mr. Boyce would disagree with this apparently, but there were people who came into the town who helped with the plan, who helped with the design, who have done this in other towns. They have experience helping to redevelop other towns. And I think we need to appreciate that, and we need to take their advice. I do think, I would love to see all of these vacant businesses downtown, vacant storefronts, be rejuvenated. We've lived in town for about 40 years, and some of these places had businesses in. When we moved here, they haven't had them in quite a while. But I think that when last week at the work session, I guess it was, Councilman Davis talked about how we need to find our niche. And the thing that we have that's unique is the riverfront. So we need to be developing something down by the riverfront. Stan talked about how developers need to be able to see that there's foot traffic. If the things that are in the plan are developed down by the riverfront, I believe the redevelopment of these places would follow. You can't go to Victoria's Secret, which we could, and say, come downtown, and they would immediately come downtown. There has to be a start, there has to be some redevelopment. There are businesses that have opened downtown over the years that there was not enough of an overall development. They were there by themselves. Sugar, the tea, the Victorian Tea House downtown. Those things were there. There wasn't a critical mass to bring other people downtown. And that's what I think that development down by the riverfront would provide. So we just encourage people to keep on with the enthusiasm for the downtown project, and hopefully we can get started soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges. Is there anyone else? Okay, we can close the public comment portion. There being no second reading for ordinances, we'll move forward with the first readings, which would be ordinance number 2018-23, ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, New Jersey, adopting revisions to the riverfront redevelopment plan. Based upon Ms. Morissette's observation, I would request council motion to table this until the attorneys can make the changes necessary.
Second.
I made a motion. So,
Motion.
and then
For your motion, Council President, my apologies.
No, I'm sorry.
Second with the...
Okay, so we do have a motion and a second to table. Roll call vote, Vicky.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Council Vice President DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.